let's say you got to do a bunch of stuff. You got a list, right? Oh, I can do this while I do this. I can do this while I do this and this. You're probably going to multitask, right, to get things done a little sooner. So for the most part, multitasking is bullshit. Okay, in my opinion, the only real multitasking is if you're listening to music while you do something else. But in general, multitasking is not really a thing. It's more like switching tasks back and forth very quickly. And what that does is it makes it so you don't do any one task with full attention, right? Let's say I'm back in school. I'm doing homework and doing all the dishes for the family or whatever, right? I can't really multitask that, but someone will say, "Oh, I can wash dishes with one hand and write homework on the other hand." Okay, you can do that, but you're doing both tasks in a shitty way. And what you're really doing is writing, washing, writing, washing. You might be thinking, "No, I'm writing and I'm cleaning." No, you're literally focused on writing and you're just moving your hand in one way over there. That applies to that's kind of a dumb example, but that applies to pretty much everything. What you think is multitasking is really you focusing on one task while you're kind of doing an autopilot thing for the other thing. So you're not actually getting anything done on both tasks. You're focusing on one. Now, the major issue with kind of switching back and forth so much like that is, like I said, you're not doing any one task very well. But there's a bigger thing too. It's something called, I forget the term for it. I think it's called attention residue or distraction residue. I forget what it is, but essentially when you are doing something and you switch over to something else, your brain literally takes time to kind of center its attention on that other task at hand. And that switching back and forth just adds up a lot of this distraction residue and ends up taking you longer than if you just focus on one thing, banged it out, then you focus on the other thing and bang it out. It literally takes longer if you try to multitask. It's not really a thing you should be doing. So when you try to split your attention in that way, like I said, it's going to be two shitty jobs instead of one. In that mediocre example of doing homework and doing your dishes, the dishes will either be somewhat clean, somewhat dirty. The homework will look like complete trash. Your handwriting will suck. Or you'll do them both correctly, but it'll have taken you way longer than if you just focused on one of them. So what do you do instead of multitask? You can do two things. You could do anything you want, right? But in my opinion, there are two kind of best ways to go about it. Make a list and you put the hardest thing at the top, and then you kind of put the medium stuff under that, and then the less important stuff under that. So you prioritize the stuff that's most important, but you do it one at a time. So what you can do is focus all your attention on that top important thing, and then the other stuff will domino over later once you get to it. That's one way. And that's if you're doing something really important and you want to prioritize that one thing. Because if you're trying to do that one important thing and you go back to this other bullshit thing, back and forth, that first important thing, that shit is not getting finished that day, and the other stuff will be done even shittier, right? So just focus on that big thing. What you can also do is flip it around. You can put the tiny tasks on top, the medium stuff under it, and the big stuff at the bottom. Now, the benefit of this is you can crush the small tasks way quicker. Just get them out of the way straight up. Now, the bad thing is you're left with the big hard stuff at the end, but you lighten the load quite a bit at that point in time. This I would recommend if the important thing at the bottom is not something that requires so much focus that, if you didn't give it focus, you would lose your job or something like that. You know what I mean? If it's chore stuff, then do that for sure. I personally prefer doing the harder stuff earlier, because usually the harder stuff is more important. So once you get that done, even if you don't get to the other stuff because you were too busy focusing on that important stuff, it's not that big of a deal because that stuff wasn't that important to begin with. So you focus yourself correctly in that way. So again, just Make a list. Don't jump back and forth between things. It's not going to be helpful. You end up getting way less done. And I know this because I still do it sometimes. Unfortunately, I have a list of things to do. I'm like, let's do this one. I'm like, oh boy, I'm here. I can do that. I'm like, I know this. I need to do it more, but I understand. The important thing is have a task list, know what you're going to do, and focus on that fucking thing until it's fucking done. And then you're done with that, and then you move on. That way you'll get all that stuff done much faster. You will literally save time if you do one thing at a time. I know that sounds counterproductive and doesn't make sense, but it does if you focus on that, okay? Imagine you were drilling on the ground. You're drilling one brick, drilling the other one. If you're drilling one, oh, I'm drilling this one, I'm drilling this one, I'm drilling, like, both of them are going to take forever, right? But if you just focus on one, just fucking go, boom, it's going to crack open. Go do the other one, you focus on that hardcore, it's going to crack open. Faster than if you just went back and forth. Oh, I'm multitasking, right? Just focus, run through it, go to the next thing. Don't multitask, unitask. And I'll leave with a quote from Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec. Never I fucked it up. Never half-ass two things. Whole ass one thing.